Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome in, welcome in. Happy to see you all on this Friday morning. And hey, things are looking pretty good. We've had a couple of rough mornings back to back to back to back, but it does feel as if the market is kind of moving in a bit of a better direction. Obviously, may not last, may not sustain, but in this moment, at this moment, we are seeing a pretty solid morning. Now, I think a lot of the reason as to why we are seeing this market moving upwards today is because we did get some pretty solid news out of the White House just yesterday. A lot of executive orders that impacted crypto. Not a lot of them are being talked about. My crypto Twitter is suspended still. So I'm not all over Twitter right now, but for the most part, I'm not seeing a lot of these things being talked about. So what I wanted to do this morning was kind of talk a little bit about what some of these executive orders were, why they're important, what they could mean, and of course, all that good stuff. Now, today, again, we're going to go over what is happening in the market. We're going to take a look at some of these executive orders. We're going to talk about why they're important, what they can mean. We're going to do a little technical analysis, as I mentioned before. I want to show you guys a couple things from a fundamental perspective, some liquidation data that I am seeing that is actually pretty good, and a couple other things. And so outside of that, I know I've been a little bit MIA the last day or two. Not a lot has been going on, so there's not a lot to talk about. I've been trying to spend a little bit more time with the family and all that good stuff. So obviously, I hope you guys have been too, and I hope you all have been having a fantastic week. But what better way to close out the week than to look at the crypto market, get an idea of what's going on. If everything sounds good and looks good, please let me know down in the live chat right now. Let me know the audio, the video is all good. Make sure you vote on that poll so we can see how people are feeling. Right now, it seems as if people are feeling pretty dang on bullish for the day, about 62%. And so, of course, I'm curious of your thoughts there. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way in. And let's get into it then, shall we? So, looking at this crypto market today, look, let's get you pulled up here. What we can see is that the crypto market's looking pretty daggone good, right? Over the week, still looking pretty red, but if we go out to the day, we can actually start to see some progress being made. Solana up today, Ondo, Jupe, MKR, and more. And you know what I would actually be willing to say is it feels as if we are starting to see this crypto market to some degree actually draining liquidity back out of Trump. It's starting to look that way. So I have been kind of doing a little bit of analysis on chain to just see some of the more major wallet addresses that had originally bought Trump that transferred from other assets to Trump. And it's hard to track because obviously a lot of the times they're going from blockchain to blockchain, which means they have to go to a centralized exchange and then going from a centralized exchange back out to another decentralized exchange or another hot wallet. It does get a little bit confusing, and I'm not that great at blockchain and on-chain analysis, but I've been looking enough at what's going on to know that there are people who sold their other cryptos to buy Trump that are now selling their Trump to buy other cryptos. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing that's happening. I kind of want to see that liquidity flow back into the market. This felt like just a blimp in time. I don't really think it's great. Like I know, like I've said this before, it's not ideal for Trump to be the leading meme coin in this narrative or for this run, in my opinion, because there's already still so much tied to Trump with executive orders in the White House and his administration and Doge and all these other things. The last thing we need is the entire meme coin market being controlled by one coin that's also tied to the same thing controlling the rest of the market. It's just a formula for failure, right? So because of that, seeing a little bit of liquidity kind of getting flown into some of these other places, I'm really liking that today. LDO is going absolutely nuts. Lido DAO pushed up 6 spots from number 70 to number 64 today, up to a $1.87 billion market cap. Absolutely smashing. It's still down on the year. Don't get me wrong, it's still down on the year, but in the last year. But I mean, overall, catching a little traction. I've not really seen them jumping off recently. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Let's see. What about Jupe? Jupe kind of picking up some steam today. And it's interesting, right? Because you're seeing Trump's coin falling, which was, of course, a Solana token that brought a lot of liquidity to Jupe. But now look at Jupe today. Jupe giving us a good recovery. Obviously, in the last month, it is still substantially down from where it was, but it is showing some signs of strength. And it is showing that Jupe wasn't only strong because Trump launched on it. Trump launched on it because Jupe was strong, right? And that's something you have to think about. Also, against Solana picking up a little steam today, picking up towards the $270 mark right here on the week. Still up, climbing, retracing to some of those highs. Looking interesting. We'll do, of course, a little technical analysis on that in a little while here. But the market looking good. XDC taking a little bit of a beating today, down a couple spots, but nothing too bad there. Hex gaining a little bit of steam. Curious to see how things continue to go with Hex. I know they are down for the most part as a result of, I think, the CEO getting like arrested or something. I can't remember exactly what happened there. But looking pretty good there today. Juke pumping because of airdrop. Okay, got it. I'm a little bit out of the I'm a little bit out of the loop recently. I've been working on these modules for the school here, so got an airdrop going on. Interesting. I'd be curious to hear more about that. If somebody could leave some details in the chat, I'll read it out to everyone. Ondo smashing, baby. Let's go. You guys know. Hey, I was doing a little buying on Ondo. Look, let's go see. I bought some Ondo just 2 days ago at $1.30. I bought a little bit more Ondo at $1.30 as well. I bought some Ondo at $1.39, and I did my first entry on Ondo. Where was that at? It had to have been somewhere around here. Yeah, at $1.26, as you can see here. So Ondo smashing it on the day, up a decent amount off that. Not bad, baby. I think my position's up probably 10 to 12%. I started only about 2 weeks ago, so very good. Very good. Looking good. Obviously, now, what we can see here, the reason why we are seeing the vast majority of this market performing so well, AI16 is down a little bit, but we'll talk about that. The majority of the reason why the market is performing well today is because, in my opinion, we are seeing some pretty solid news coming out the White House. Now, what we can see here, let's kind of run through the news that we got, okay? So there was 5 different things that happened in the White House over the last 24 to 48 hours that I thought were pretty impactful that I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about. So let's kind of get into the very first one, okay? And I kind of just have they're in no specific order, but let's just kind of just go through them, okay? So let's get into this. So the very first one, Trump's order establishes, there we go. I don't know why I couldn't read that. Oh, here we go. Okay, cool. So President Donald Trump on Thursday signed an executive order that seeks to clarify regulations in the crypto industry to secure America's position as the world's leader in digital asset economy. Now, I don't know if anyone else realizes this, but that's actually very good. Like, I'm not someone, again, and I don't want to go on a tangent, so I'm just going to make this fast. I've consistently been someone that said we don't need Trump or the White House or anyone to support crypto for crypto to have value. But having the support of the biggest, if not the biggest countries in the world, obviously, would be massive. And it would open up doors of opportunity, especially for things like XRP, ADA, Stellar, etc. Right? Now, with that in mind, Trump's order establishes the Presidential Working Group on Digital Asset Markets, which will develop a federal regulatory framework for digital assets, including stablecoins, and evaluate the creation of a strategic national digital assets stockpile. Now, some people said that, they don't like this isn't a strategic reserve, but again, I've told you all, the only way to get to a spot in which they will fully embrace crypto is to start from the beginning and work their way up. And I actually do think this was the biggest piece of news that we got yesterday. Tyler, why? Well, the reason why I believe that this is the biggest piece of news that we got yesterday is because it starts to build on top of the regulatory framework we talked about with the SEC. I've told you, the United States is not going to just fully embrace something that's not ready. It's just not a good idea. You don't want to fully embrace something that ends up just getting decimated, destroyed, bad things happen, all types of stuff happens, right? You get an FTX collapse, right? You don't want any of those things to happen after you fully embrace something like crypto. And the reason being is, of course, but it's a credibility thing. I've told you before, the Trump coin was kind of the only thing that doesn't make this make sense. But for the most part, it seems as if the U.S. has an idea right now that they can actually make crypto, become a very crypto-centric place. But the only way to do that is to make sure that the foundation in which all of these things are being built upon is strong. And so obviously you have the SEC, who they did the crypto task force to make sure that the overall regulation of crypto as a whole, especially for many altcoins and companies and projects and things like that, make sure that that's strong, it's clear, it's obvious. If you want to start a crypto or you want to start a crypto-based company here in the US, you know exactly what you need to do and exactly when you need to do it. And that's what's going to start opening that door. And I've told you that's a great thing. But this takes that to an even another level, right? Because this says with all of those things in place to make sure that people are very aware of how the regulatory side works there in crypto, now we're going to start to provide people with the opportunity to start actually doing these things, to start actually building these companies, projects, things of that nature. Because again, this is going to allow them to develop a federal regulatory framework for digital assets, including stablecoins, and evaluate the creation of a national digital assets stockpile. So what you can see is progress. It's progress, right? And this is what you want to see. You want to see them taking steps in the right direction. This is the mature approach. I've told you all this. Had they not launched Trump Coin, because I still feel like that was stupid, had they not launched Trump Coin, we would have seen almost perfect execution from the White House as of now in implementing crypto into the regulations, into the legislation that be, right? The regulatory bodies that be. We would almost have seen a perfect performance. Start small, start slow. Get the boundaries set up, get the framework set up, get the regulations set up, then use the actual good regulations to start injecting policies that make sense and start using those policies to start opening the door and start then injecting some liquidity, injecting some capital, make some investments, use those investments to grow this, and then as they grow this, start to embrace it even more and start to promote it. Now you have a crypto hub, right? This is why you start to see places like Dubai and stuff like that. They were so favorable for the crypto world for so long because they started at the bottom and worked their way to the top. It would almost be perfect execution. The Trump coin is the only thing that does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. But we're moving past that. This is what we got. Very good news there. Very happy about that. I can leave. Look, I'll do this. Every time I go through one of these, I'll put it in the comments for you to go check it out if you want. Now, the next one. Trump orders crypto working group to drive. Okay, we went through that one actually already. Okay. For some reason, this went through and took all of them, and I didn't mean for it to do that. Give me 1 second. It took all of them and okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. For some reason, it just combined all of my tabs into one. So let me go ahead and get that pulled up real quick. Give me 1 sec. Because there were a couple more. And what we may have to do is I'm going to make a full video on this later on anyway, but there were a couple more things that actually went into it. You know what? Look, let me just do this. This is going to be easy. I'll just use the little cheat code. This is something you guys can use as well. Watch this. This is a little cheat code. If you want to use this, you can do this. Watch this. Go to Grok. What executive orders did Trump release on that impacts crypto yesterday? My account is still suspended, by the way, as annoying as it is. But let's just kind of go through it this way, and I'll make a full video on it later. Anyway, so establishment of a cryptocurrency working group. And I'd rather pull up the articles, but I don't have time right now. So let's just kind of get into it like this. So establishment of a crypto working group. We talked about that already. Ban on central bank digital currency, so CBDCs. The executive order explicitly bans the creation of or promotion of a central bank digital currency by federal agencies within the U.S., signaling a policy direction against CBDCs in favor of existing cryptocurrencies. And that's obviously massive. Like, that's obviously huge. Going forward. And I'm going to go through each one of these in a second. Let's just get through them. Protection of self-custody and development. The order aims to protect individuals' rights to self-custody or of digital assets and to develop software related to cryptocurrencies without persecution, provided it's for lawful purposes. Provided it's for lawful purposes. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just making sure we're not about to get spam botted. There we go. All right. And then the last one, strategic digital asset reserve, is something that we mentioned just here. Of course, there's mention of evaluating the creation of a national digital asset stockpile potentially derived for cryptocurrencies lawfully seized by the government, indicating a new strategic approach to managing digital assets. So let's talk about why all of this is important. So the very first one was this. We already talked about this. This is important because it helps in terms of building on top of the regulatory framework that'll open the door for, of course, a more crypto-centric United States. The next one, ban on CBDCs. We all knew that at some point we were going to have to go down the route of CBDCs, that we were going to have to deal with it. And the reason why that was so concerning was because that is truly kind of a stab in the heart of decentralization to some degree, right? That is a little concerning. That's not something that we really wanted to see. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to see CBDCs come into existence, and the reason being is because now the whole digital world is going to be impacted. That's going to drain liquidity from stable coins. Whenever you drain liquidity from stable coins, it's never good. I just didn't really want to see that happen, and most crypto maxis also didn't want to see that happen. Sure, there is an argument in place to say that this is something that is beneficial for crypto, because at the end of the day, it is the full embrace, like the United States government would be fully embracing digital currency, which makes something like crypto more credible. But I believe it to be quite the opposite, and saying, well, look, we need to do it and we need to create CBDCs because at the end of the day, you can't trust these stable coins or you can't trust these cryptos. And Yeah, that's kind of the way I think people would see it. And whenever you start talking about institutional investors, they're going to be incentivized to use CBDCs and things rather than stablecoins and rather than other crypto assets. And so to me, I just didn't like the idea of a CBDC. I think that was their way of trying to control all of this even more than they already do. And I wasn't a huge fan of that, going to be super honest. So because of that, that was something that I did find very valuable as well. Protection of self-custody and development, obviously important. This is obviously important. Again, the order aims to protect individuals' right to self-custody of digital assets and to develop related software related to cryptocurrencies without persecution, provided it's for lawful purposes. So you remember I told you the whole process is to start ground up, provide the framework, make the framework clear, help people with the framework, and then let them start building without persecuting them. Because I want you to understand something. Even as someone, I own two companies within the world of crypto, and I, to this day, have still had problems, road bumps, issues, things that I've had to fix and solve and all this because of the framework, the regulatory framework in the United States. I have the top three biggest influencer relations agencies in all of crypto and on YouTube, meaning that all the sponsorships and all the stuff you're seeing across most of YouTube, our agency had something to do with. And then we obviously have the crypto school, which is going to be in combined over 3,000 members, right? And so because of these things, whenever you're even providing educational services through something like a school, it's kind of hard to know what the regulatory frameworks are. Whenever you're trying to go open a bank account, you're going to run into problems. Whenever you try to connect Stripe or get business cards, all of these things, you're running into problems over and over and over again. And it's made me almost say like, damn, it's not even worth the stress, like the headache of it all. And because of that, you got to think that puts a strain on the US, like the US crypto economy, right? There's only so much crypto development that can happen in the United States as a result of fear of persecution. You don't want to get a Wells notice. You don't want the SEC and the little weasel rat Gary Gensler knocking on your door. You don't really want any of those things. I even know YouTubers who haven't even wanted to make YouTube channels here in the United States because they were worried about persecution. And so because of this starts to erase some of those fears and some of those worries. And that's what's exciting because it starts opening up that door. Revocation of previous orders. It also revokes former President Joe Biden's 2022 executive order on crypto and directs the Treasury Department to rescind related digital asset frameworks, marking a shift in policy approach to digital assets. And that just built on top of this. This is what gets you more in the direction of allowing all of these things to happen. And yeah, maybe they're going to start working on some sort of stockpile of the ones that they lawfully seize. Feel about that how you may. They're going to do something with it. They're going to seize crypto because just like cash, crypto can be used by criminals. And if they get caught, it's going to get seized. It's the same thing that happens with cash. It's the same thing that's going to happen with crypto. I would rather them hold it than sell it. I'd rather them hold them to sell it. And so if they do start to build up a stockpile to some degree, hey, that's what they're going to do. But all of these things I'm sure you're starting to recognize is the right way to do this. You cannot enter into the crypto world by just, okay, let's go straight into a strategic reserve and let's just go straight into investing into a whole bunch of these different protocols. No, because these protocols are not going to be built right. They're not going to be built on top of a strong foundation because at the end of the day, no one knows what's going to happen, right? You can have a protocol backed by the US government, but if the SEC decides that they're going to sue you, they're going to sue you anyway. Right? So you need to be able to build these things on top of each other. You need to take this piece and that piece and this piece and that piece and build the puzzle from the middle outwards, expanded to a point where you get the big picture. And the big picture is the United States fully embracing crypto. And this is what gets us there. This is fantastic news. Now, you may wonder, Tyler, well, if this is fantastic news, why is the market not moving? I'll be honest with you. It's a good question. It's a good question. It's a good question. Here's my guess. The people who were buying crypto based off of the thought that if Trump mentions crypto or says anything about crypto or signs a Bitcoin strategic reserve or anything, let's remove the strategic reserve portion, actually. Let me just leave that down here for a second. But some of those other ones, the people who bought due to short-term things like Trump's inauguration speech and all that, I think they already exited. And it kind of goes to show that they've exited. And the reason that I say that is because if you do look at a lot of on-chain data, it's showing that most of those people exited in this, either in this one or in that one. So a lot of the people who are trading based off of short-term emotions are gone. That's a good thing. I think the people who are still holding crypto right here knew that it was very likely Trump was going to uphold his promises. Trump already told us he was going to do all these things. Now he's just doing them. And so I believe to some degree, this was also factored in already. I think this was priced in already. Everyone knew This was going to very likely happen. Now the game plan becomes using these things that have happened to then work upwards. Okay. I also believe there's a side of manipulation into it, which I'm going to get into in a second. And the last thing is obviously still the idea of the strategic reserve. The strategic reserve is the big mama, right? Obviously, there are these small executive orders, but although I know how important these things are, a lot of people don't recognize how important these things are. All they care about is a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They want to hear that the United States is buying Bitcoin. That's what they want to hear. And until they hear that, they're not going to FOMO in. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Now, the US may not say that. They might not come out and say that for months until all of these regulatory frameworks are in place and ready to go, right? So I think there's constraint because a lot of people are not feeling FOMO because of these executive orders because they don't recognize the importance of this fundamentally. I feel like there's also going to be some constraint because many short-term investors are still exiting. And while they are exiting, institutions are buying that crypto from them. So institutions are allowing this to stay right here. As these short-term retail investors exit, institutions are buying. And we saw that. I'm not making that up. You saw it was a BlackRock, Fidelity, Bitwise, and ARK, I believe, purchased $800 billion. No, it couldn't be $800 billion. Sorry, $800 million worth of Bitcoin in the span of just a couple hours, right? Nearly $1 billion over a couple hours. So they're buying all this Bitcoin being sold. All the Bitcoin being sold from many of your other your short-term retail investors, they're buying it back. And then I believe there's a side of manipulation to this. Now, let me put my tinfoil hat on here. I would go over to the lizard layer, but I'm just going to stay right here. I believe there is an ounce of manipulation to this. And the reason why I say that is because the longer that the price sits right here and it doesn't do anything, the more short traders are starting to believe that this market's not going to go anywhere. And if short traders start to get confident that this market cannot go up, that the top is in, if people become bearish and say the top is in, we're getting all these executive orders and the price isn't moving, it's not doing anything, they're going to start to believe this market's going to go down. And if they believe it enough, they'll short the market. And the shorts will build, and they'll build, and they'll build. You'll see more and more and more until something happens. Now, what are those two things that can happen? Well, it usually goes one of two ways. Option number one is you give them a little bit of satisfaction, right? Boom, we drop. Bitcoin comes back down, falls $95,000, $96,000, towards $95,000, $96,000. You know what happens? The shorts get real confident. Like, oh, I knew it. I knew we were right. The market wasn't moving. There was no catalyst. Of course it has to go down. Of course it goes down. So all these short traders who had all these liquidation levels right here, they get even more confident. Now liquidations start building up here. So now you got liquidation levels here. You got liquidation levels here, right? And the price starts going down and down and down and down and down. And then something else happens. They're wrong. The market finds it, boom, and it catches that momentum upwards. And all of these short traders get trapped in a period like this where the market should be going up, but it's not. Because I believe constraints are being placed on this market right now. How? Hard to tell. But I do believe that to be the case. Because there's not many times where all of the biggest institutions in the world are buying hundreds of millions of dollars at once, but an asset's price does not move. I think that's odd. I think that's calculated. And so what does that mean? I think there could still be highs inbound. The question is, do we go straight into them and start liquidating? Or do we drop first to build even more confidence and then go into it? Now, if you don't believe me, let me show you something. Do you see how as time has gone on, the longer that we have stayed, look, I can really just zoom all the way in. I want you to see this and I want you to really get to see it, okay? Look, I know there's liquidations down here, but I want you to focus on what's going on up here. I want you to focus on what's going on up here. Do you see how back here, there was like no liquidations around $110,000, like nothing? What this means is that people weren't confident the top was in. People didn't think the top was in, so they weren't shorting. But as time goes on, we get closer and closer and closer to the modern day. And more and more and more people start to pull this price down. Or sorry, they start to expect that the price is going to go down. You see how these liquidations to the top side start getting thicker and thicker and thicker? That's what you're looking for. Now, I'm aware that $51,000, $47,000 has liquidation levels. I see it. Don't get me wrong, I see it. But what I want you to understand is there will always be liquidations in the opposite direction of the trend. And what I mean is when you're in a bull market, there will always be liquidations to the downside. Those are hard to get to. What's easy to get to are liquidations that are trying to go against the trend. Liquidations where people think the market's going to go down when we're still in a bull market. Because, guys, by the way, we're still in a bull market. And you see how all these liquidations are building? Then I want you to zoom in even more. And I want you to look at that one day. where currently speaking, at $107,000, there are $220 million worth of shorts that'll get liquidated. Then you go to that 7-day, you see the billions. You see the billions. We go to $114,000, guys, $1.75 billion worth of liquidations. That happens to the upside. And the craziest part is 1.5 billion of that comes if we hit 110,000. Go to the 30-day. Crazier. We see this bad boy push all the way up here. Again, 1.75 billion on the 30-day, 1.5 billion on the 7-day, and hundreds of millions on the 1-day. What does this mean? It means it's working. It means that as time is going on, and the longer we're staying right here, the more people who are becoming more and more confident that this market's going to go down. And as a result of their confidence, they're leveraging and they're betting money that they probably can't afford to lose, that it's going to go down. So much so that they'll get liquidated if Bitcoin does that. I want you to think about something. If Bitcoin does this, just this, there will be nearly $2 billion worth of liquidations. And you know where liquidations flow? That way. Me and you are right here. I would assume the president and all of them are right here. It goes up this way. That's where it goes. So what does this mean to me? It means it's probably a good idea to start really paying attention. It means it's probably, because usually what I've noticed is when the market is forcibly constrained, you're getting very close to a breakout. I would almost be willing to say that if this market pulls back to the downside, this is going to be the trigger for the next move. The next pullback will be the trigger for the next move if it happens. What I mean by that is it's either going to be the last pullback and we're going to send, or that's going to be the one that actually breaks us out of this channel. Because I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend and tell you guys that I'm for sure confident what's going to happen. I still don't know. You know, the biggest thing that puts doubt in my brain, because my gut says we should go up. Every sign to me says we should go up. The consolidation, the structure, the resets, the pessimism in the market, almost everything says that we should go up. The problem that I have is that history has painted a picture in which when you're in consolidatory periods, meaning when you're going sideways, you will almost always see it break down, build all the liquidations throughout the range and above it, and then go up. That's kind of what almost always happens. Let me show you. Okay. Looky here. We had this little micro range, and it's kind of hard to define this range, but I mean, you can kind of call it what you want to call it. But do you see how we were going sideways? We were going sideways here, but we had that big moment, like, oh shit, where Bitcoin went from 70 all the way down to 49,000. You know, everybody was calling the cycle top here, by the way, right? You know, everybody was comparing this to the end of 2021 or the May of 2021 and saying this was the end of the cycle somehow. Like there was going to be the early cycle. Do you guys remember all that? That was the big moment. Now, I know there was obviously news that happened in here as well, but that was the big moment. And then we took off. On a more micro sense, see how we were kind of going sideways? We were range bound. We ripped to the downside one time before going upwards. Do you see how even more micro in an instance like this, we ripped towards the downside before going upwards? I mean, I can keep doing this, but I don't think I need to, right? The only time we didn't do it was at the beginning of this cycle. It was right here where we had balanced lows. We used those balanced lows to continue upwards, but this was a result of the upcoming ETFs. We had a huge catalyst on the way. So it was easy for this market to not capitulate one more time. So it just puts a little doubt in my mind because history says that before you can pump, you dump. And before you dump, you pump. Just what history says. The question I have was it this? This isn't big enough, but it could have been this. That is possible, right? We were maintaining these lows for a while. We lost them. Huge liquidations, a lack of volume, complete oversold on most indicators, bullish divergence. Well, this is, what's the word? Exaggerated bullish divergence, which is when you get the equal low to the higher low or the lower low. Exaggerated bullish divergence, a push to the upside. It's possible. It is just something that I keep in the back of my mind. There are other things that make me feel like, okay, well, now isn't the time to still be FOMOing all the way in. A lot of people have pointed to the blood diamond. Okay. The blood diamond is a pattern that looks roughly like this. Let me kind of go in Picasso real quick. The blood diamond looks roughly like this. History says blood diamonds are reversal patterns. What I've come to recognize is blood diamonds are much less effective when they go against the trend, the macro trend. Okay. So what I mean is, if you're going in a bull market and you see a blood diamond, they're much less effective than if you're in a bear market. You go up, you see the blood diamond right here, then you go down. That's very common. That is a very high strike rate. These don't work as much, but they do work sometimes. We don't have very high volume. The price is reset a ton. Maybe it nosedives one more time, right? Maybe it comes back down. We find support and continue. That would put us somewhere in the realm of being oversold again. It is possible. So I am still aware that we might still fall one more time. But as I mentioned before, I think this next fall, if it happens, will trigger the next move. I think we're past all the catalysts. We're past all the manipulation. We're almost to the end of the manipulation moment. When they resort to constraining on a micro sense because the macro sense is becoming harder to constrain, it makes me feel like we're getting towards the end of this HMZ, this high manipulation zone that we've been in. And if that is the case, the likelihood is that if we fall, I think that's going to trigger it. I'm guessing. I hope you guys do understand that. I'm guessing. I don't actually know. I've just been watching these charts for 5 years. And I feel like we're at the end of this. Because generally speaking, in consolidatory channels, lesser volume equals lesser time. What do I mean by that? Whenever you have a consolidation channel, which means you're going sideways like this, the less the volume, the volatility is what I meant. But the less the volatility between the highs and the lows typically means the less amount of time that this is going to last. So if I'm doing this shit usually takes a while to get out of. This, not so much. Look at history, just really quickly. You see these big swings? Bitcoin's from 70K down to 56, up to 70, down to 50, up to 70. You see the volatility here? This is a lot. That's a lot. So it took a while. But do you see how before that, when we were constrained to kind of these smaller moves from 44 to 40, right, 10% moves or so, we didn't last very long in this. We went from December 5th to roughly February 5th. Now, you may wonder, whoa, that sounds a little familiar. You would have a good reason to say that. Because we entered into this range in November, and now we're in January. But there was a little more volatility here. So what does that mean? Well, it means that typically speaking, we should see this last a little bit longer than this one. And we're getting to the point of being a little bit longer. So all of these things to say to me that, yes, we got some fantastic news. And as a result of that, altcoins are actually looking pretty good. But altcoins won't go anywhere until Bitcoin makes a move. I genuinely believe that. I don't think we're going to see a season to where altcoins go up hundreds of percentages and Bitcoin's still in here. That would be unusual. Because it's just not the period and the phase of the market that we're in. That's not normally what would happen. And whenever you look at something like this, yes, sure, we're kind of in the middle, leaning towards altcoin season, but we're not in altcoin season. We're still mid-range. So if you're mid-range, Bitcoin is in control. You might not be in Bitcoin season, but Bitcoin's in control. And I don't think this market goes anywhere without Bitcoin. And so with that in mind, we got some great news, some fantastic news. This is all great stuff, okay? But retail investors don't recognize it, but institutions do. And institutions are buying, and they're buying a lot. They're not buying as much as they were before, but obviously they have limited capital in comparison to what they had prior to having no investors, right? Obviously, when you have no AUM or assets under management, it's easier to 10x than it is whenever you already have $1 trillion or something like that. You get the point, right? So institutions are buying during these periods of good news. Retail investors aren't. The market is constraining and shorts are building up. Feels to me like a spring is being set for this market to move upwards. The question is, does it go or does it pull back and go? I don't know. I'm sorry. I know you guys like to watch YouTube videos and hope that the person presenting can tell you. I don't know, and no one knows. People say they know. They don't know. They just hope that they're right so they get a lot of subscribers so they can say, see, I told you so, but we don't know. All you can do is watch. All you can do is watch and wait. So my strategy actually is I'm preparing my sell orders. So I am going to take profits if this market goes up. I'm going to start exiting because that's what I do. When we go up, I start exiting. It's my game plan. I've gotten basically all of the initial investment of my entire crypto portfolio out now. My entire crypto portfolio is mostly in profits. And now I want to start taking profit because we are not in the beginning of the bull market, obviously. We're getting somewhere towards the end, I would assume, middle to end. So because of that, if the market starts really rallying, I will be taking profits and I will be exiting in mass the bigger and higher we get. It's just my game plan. Doesn't make me paper hands. It just means I want to make money. I want to make money. I got places and shit that I want to do. I want to make some more money. So I want to sell as we go up. But if we drop, I'm going to buy. I will be dollar cost averaging because the gamble that I'm taking is that if we do fall, it's a short trap. It's my guess. Guys, the bull market might be over. We might go down and we might lose all of this. And any purchases I do right here, I did at the dead top. And you guys can make fun of me. You can go and say L dummy. I don't care, right? It's fine. These aren't huge purchases, but they will be sizable because I'm willing to take a gamble. The question is whether you want to take a gamble. Don't do what I do. Think about whether you're willing to take that gamble. Are you willing to make the bet right here or not? I am. But my almost entire initial investment, basically my entire initial investment out of my entire crypto portfolio is gone. It's out. I've already pulled it. I put into, we bought like a 10plex and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm playing with profit. So if I re-inject some of my profit into here, worst case scenario is I just don't make as much from this bull market as I hoped I would. Oh, well, that's fine with me. That's the bet. That's the gamble. That's where I'm seeing this market at right now. And we're getting close. Something's going to happen. And I can't wait for it to happen. So those are my thoughts. And that's where we're at in the market. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. So curious about your thoughts. I'm going to just pause there. Let's get into the chat here. I went on for 40 minutes straight just now. So curious about your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. Maybe tell me maybe I'm just a little, maybe I've been in the echo chamber too long and my thesis is off. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Okay. Oh my goodness. No, it is not. All righty. Fred Smith is pretty confident it's a bear market. I saw you yesterday. You're pretty confident it's a bear market. It'd be interesting. We'll see. My question for you is, Fred, is why? My question for Fred said we're in a bear market, and my question is why. I'd love to have a little discussion here, Fred, if you're open to it. I love teddy bears. I don't have any, but if someone got me one, I'd be pretty hyped about it. My dog would destroy it, but seems like a good thesis, but I don't think the alts will do 10x. I consolidated to a few assets. Reasonable to believe. I have this underlying thought that what if we're in the institution cycle? What if this is the first crypto cycle that's not based off of retail excitement? What if it's the first one driven by institutional investment? And if that is the case, the likelihood is many altcoins are not going to 10x or 100x like they did in 2021. Everyone thinks they're going to. Maybe they don't. Something to think about. I don't know. It's a growing thought in my brain recently. Let's see. Tyler, it's not about who's stupid or who's smart. I'd rather be stupid and make money on this market than be smart and lose, right? But I still maintain the opinion that the growth is just ahead of us. I agree. Trump is investing in Bitcoin, though it has to go up. No, it does not. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say something has to happen because no, it doesn't. Trust. Anything that can happen will happen. Looking for Fred's comment here. I'm pretty curious. It'll be disappointing if my portfolio just 2 or 3x's from here, but I'm preparing. Okay, look, I want to just kind of break some news to you. A 100 or 200% gain is fantastic. Phenomenal. It's not delusional to be disappointed, but it is delusional if you think that your entire portfolio going up 2 or 3x is bad. That is phenomenal. That is amazing. Anyone outside of crypto would tell you that's amazing. The older crypto gets, the more likely it becomes that the gains become less and less. So just rewire it a little bit. I would say just rewire it a little bit. Because those are the type of thoughts that can make you not take profits when you should, in my opinion. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. He said, I know, or she, I know it's great, but I want more. That's fine. Totally okay with that. And you do what you want. I'm just a random dude. But just had to throw that out there, okay? All right. Going to the grocery store later today. Lizard soup it is. Blood diamonds or not, you will see how fast the market's about to turn up my breath. Let's go. All right. If Fred is, hopefully Fred is responding because I want to know why Fred thinks it's a bear market. I got to do a little shameless shilling, so give me 3 minutes. Okay, I got to do some shameless shilling. I got a business run. Leave me alone. Okay, couple things I want you guys to see. First and foremost, if any of you are interested in doing some trading, I'm not high leverage trading right now, but I am getting ready to if this market moves like I think it will. So I'm not trading right now. I'm just putting that out there. But if you want to, there is the ability to sign up for BTCC. The link is in the description below. You'll get a 10% bonus on all first-time deposits between $500 and $100,000. This means if you deposit, say, $500, no, let's $2,000, they're going to give you $200 back on the spot to start trading with. And whatever money you make from that $200 is yours to keep. You can spend it, reinvest it, withdraw it, do whatever you want with it. Buy your girlfriend a nice Michael Kors bag. Do whatever you want. That's available for you there. Okay. The second thing, a lot of the time throughout this video, I have been referencing the school and what we have going on in the school. I will let you know that the school is available for all of you down below. It starts as little as $5 a month, and we currently have 1,209 students in the school. The school's main mission is very, very simple, guys, and I want to go through it with you real quick. What we do is we take crypto investors like yourselves. We give you courses, coaching, classes, live streams, workshops, trade signals, research, Q&As, and much more to help you refine your strategies, because strategies are where gains are made. And the best part about it is I'm not talking about little gains. I'm talking about big gains. This is just within the last 16 hours. This message was 16 hours ago. And if I scroll through, you can see all of the gains that have been generated by this community. It is absolutely madness. We have now officially crossed over $2 million in profits generated by this community just within the last 2 or 3 months or so, which is madness. And not everyone wins. It's not wins all day long, but if we ever lose, we have people who go in and say what they lost and why they lost. So you're either making gains or learning from lessons, and that's the whole goal. And the best part about it, as I mentioned before, is it starts as little as $5 a month. So go check that out. That is available for you down there. And don't forget, you can start doing some trading today over on BTCC to get that 10% deposit bonus back. Now, shameless shilling aside, I usually show my Twitter, but it's suspended. Thanks, Elon. Let's go back into it. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more questions, and then we're going to get into some individual analysis. 2 quick things real quick, though. Gabor, much appreciated for the donation, my friend. You said, Tyler, my strategy is if you think you are the smartest in the room, then you are in the wrong room. This is not a bull nor bear market. That's not a terrible strategy. It's not a bad idea. I think that there is some insight and think there is some value to being the smartest person in the room as long as you're spreading and propagating that knowledge. But if you want to grow as a person, you need to get yourself into a room of people where they're propagating to you. It's a game of propagation, not a game of smartest versus not smartest. That's my thoughts. Jeff Wolf says, exited a $50,000 holding at 40% down, put it all in the fill. Good move for max returns. This is a small amount of funds I invested in crypto. Lost faith. Hey, fantastic move from what it looks like. I obviously saw FIL was doing pretty dang good. So congratulations to you. And of course, as always, thank you for the donation, my friend. Alrighty. I don't think Fred responded, but I wanted to have a little convo, Fred. I wasn't going to cook. I was just going to try to talk to you, but I guess you don't want to talk to me. Okay, let's go into it. Let's do some individual analysis to wrap the stream up today, okay? I will also tell you guys I am traveling out of town tomorrow, so no live stream tomorrow. What day is it? Thursday? No, today's Friday. No stream tomorrow. No stream Sunday. Probably no stream Monday. So I'm probably going to take 3 days off, but I will be uploading videos. So don't worry. I'll be around. All right, let's do some individual analysis real quick fire stuff. I'll tell you guys if I like what I'm seeing, if I don't like what I'm seeing, if I would be willing to buy, if I wouldn't be willing to buy. We're just going to rapid fire these ones, okay? So, oh man, GIG, don't clip me and post it on Twitter saying that I supported that. I didn't. Okay. All right, total market cap is looking the same as Bitcoin. Everything is operating around the same way. Let's go into individuals. Ethereum is looking like it's about to try to decide whether or not it's going to break out of this descending channel. This descending channel means everything for ETH. My strategy remains the same. Buy at the red line or below, sell at the top line, take a little profit, or just wait for the breakout. Since we haven't really had the breakout yet and I didn't take any profits for Ethereum, I am simply just in a waiting period to see what happens and if it breaks out of this descending structure. When it looks at SWI is in a very similar position. SWI has just recently lost this ascending level of support and resistance. It was in an ascending channel, and I told you all on January 5th, ascending channels are scary. If I go out to Insights with Tyler, I'm going to go all the way back to January 5th. Give me 1 second. This is going to take me a sec. Look, I even said it right here. I told people, I closed down about roughly 3% here, and then on the 5th, I closed down 5%. So I closed down 8% of my entire SWE bag because it was in an ascending channel. Well, now it's broken down out of that ascending channel. I took profits on SWE right here. I took profits on SWE right there. What we could, of course, see is we were starting to see some of these things happening. We were starting to see it really run into these battle zones on sort of some of the shorter time frames. If we look at this bad boy, you could start to see, like, when we hit these levels up here, we were getting our battle signals going off saying, hey, this is going to be a hard level to clear. We created the battle signals right here. We had the battle zone going off right here, forcing that rejection downwards. And so because of that, although SWE is in a better spot than it was in when it was in this channel, it's not in a great spot quite yet. I would like to say that it seems as if it's trying to go range bound, but I want to see it get further away from this channel. I want to see it get further away from this channel before I do any investing. So for SWE, I'm still just not doing anything. I'm still just not doing anything. Okay. Now, Sol, looking at Sol. What we can see here, Sol's actually looking pretty good. Sol's making a decision right now as we speak. Sol is trying to maintain some support on top of that previous liquidity zone that it broke, the Fibonacci golden zone. We broke above the golden zone right here. We came back down to it. Now we're trying to give the RS flip. We're trying to see Sol give us that RS flip. For Solana, I would only be buying probably around $240 or lower. So right now, Solana's not in a buying spot for me. I just want to see whether or not it is going to backtest and hold the support and use the support to push back up to $300. I do want you all to remember, the back of my mind says that this market could very well pull back one more time. And so because of that, I am still going to be rather cautious with all of my altcoins right now. And considering the fact that Solana is still sitting below a key level of resistance, that previous all-time high or that previous high from back here, I am still just going to be pausing on Solana as well. Looking at XLM is a different story. I think XLM is in a buying opportunity right now. It could still go down from here, but in the grand scheme of things, it's trying to flip this channel into support, and it's doing a good job so far and actually giving us some signs of bullish divergence. And so as a result of that, I am actually willing to go in on some XLM right now. I want to see if our battle signal, we didn't get any battle signals there, but we are in a battle zone right now. And I wonder if that's on the 4-hour as well. Yeah, we're in a 4-hour battle zone as well. So that means there's a ton of liquidity right now. And so although we're not getting those buy signals on the hourlies, I'm curious if the shorter term timeframes are giving them to us or not. Well, we did get some battle signals right back here on this back test. That's a good sign, especially on the 15 minutes. And so because of that, I think that we are actually starting to see XLM in a decent spot. And I would be willing to do a small DCA here on XLM, which I actually do believe I did. If I remember correctly. I buy stuff every day, basically. Yeah, I bought a little XLM at 43 cents. XLM is currently sat at 44 cents. So still sitting right around that entry point. Okay. Still sitting right around that entry point. Okay. So got it. Okay. ADA sitting directly below $1. ADA is currently backtesting that mid-level of that descending channel. I would actually say ADA is in a decent spot right now. Obviously, the risk here is that ADA is going to lose this 50% threshold and fall. So I wouldn't be doing big purchases on this 50% threshold. But I would say, considering the fact that it's on the red line, I think that's not a bad time. I think there's going to be a chance. There is a chance that ADA tries to make a run out of this descending channel and tries to break out. The question is whether it does, another pullback or something first with the rest of the market. So small, tiny purchases here are okay, just in case it does hold support and make that run. But if it does fall below this, I would be doing increasingly bigger purchases because I do think ADA will try to run to the top side at some point. So ADA, okay time to be buying in small purchases right now for my own portfolio. I'm not telling you what to do for my own portfolio, but I am not doing a big purchase right now because there is still a risk that the market pulls back, leading us down towards these lower levels. Okay. H-bar. I'm not going to be doing any more H-bar buying right now. I did buy a little bit of H-bar at 32 cents. H-bar is currently at 34 cents, so up about 5 or 6% or so roughly. I bought some H-bar right here. Yeah, so we're up roughly 6%. I was up about 8% at one point. H-bar is trying to create a descending structure as it is now correcting after this breakout. This is a good sign. H-bar has already broken above that golden zone, and so although it's not holding above the golden zone, it has done a good job. And it is trying to flip this macro point of resistance, this little resistance zone, into some support. So I did buy a little bit of H-bar here. Now that it is at the top side of this descending structure, as you can quite clearly tell, like this, watch this. It is at the top side of that structure. And so as a result of that, I'm not buying any H bar right now. I want to see if it can break this golden zone again. And I want to see if it can break that descending structure again. That's what I'm looking for. ICP, I would assume, isn't really doing much yet. ICP is still in a spot where I've said tiny purchases in this golden zone are not a bad idea, but I'm not going to do much buying until it breaks above this descending level of resistance. Shiba Inu, I've told you all rather consistently, Shiba Inu is in a bit of a spooky spot for me. All signs tell me that it could possibly fall back down towards that 18 level. I was telling you this back here. When SHIB was up here, I said it still very well could come back down towards this red line. I still think that may be the case. So for SHIB, tiny purchases right here are okay, but I'm not doing any at this moment. Pepe looking pretty decent. Pepe is still right around that 75% threshold. So it did bounce off of the 50% threshold right here. As you can see, it got about halfway through this descending channel, and it is trying to build support here. So I think some small purchases here on Pepe are fine. I wouldn't be doing huge ones, again, because the threat is that the market pulls back one more time, giving us a pull towards the downside. So big purchases are a no-go here on Pepe, but small purchases are not a bad idea, especially if it does try to make that push upwards. But I would save some cash just in case it gives us this move down here. Okay. XRP. XRP is doing something pretty interesting here. My channel is a little bit off, but it is interesting to see that we're getting that closing resistance. But one way or another, XRP is in a pretty kind of a holding spot for me right now. I'm not buying any XRP because I want to see, look, do we break resistance and do we start breaking out of this downtrend we're in? Or not? Do we come back down and lose the red box? Whichever one of these happen first is going to very likely tell us where XRP goes for quite a while. So for XRP, I'm just kind of holding, waiting. I want to see it either break that resistance, which is this descending trend line, or break through this red box, which is this massive point of resistance that we're trying to hold at support. So I want to see this range broken before I do anything. Maybe it's not a bad idea to do some small bids here if we get towards 280 to 292, because this is a macro support level, but I would be putting stop losses here. And I would assume that we are now starting to get the battle zone. Yeah, so we are in, again, another battle zone right here as a result of recent liquidity. So I would just be very careful right now with XRP until we can get that move upwards. Okay, going next one. Jasmine, okay. Jasmine is another one similar to ICP. I'm not doing gigantic purchases because it's not shown me the signs of life that I would be hoping for something like Jasmine, especially as of recently. But doing some small purchases, especially while it is so down, isn't a terrible idea. I mean, you look at the weekly and it's corrected so far down towards the downside. You look at the daily, it's corrected so far down towards the downside. It does feel to me as if at any given point, Jasmine might just pop up to the upside 20 or 30%. So doing some small purchases right here is okay, in my opinion, for my own personal portfolio, especially considering that it is backtesting these previous points of resistance and trying to give us these RS flips. But I wouldn't be going too far into Jasmine right now because I need to see it give us some signs of life at some given point here. Going through Bonk. Bonk's in a pretty interesting spot. Not the worst time to be dollar cost averaging in because there is an argument to be made that it is giving us bottoming out structure right here as it is trying to hold some support on top of this previous point of resistance back here. I would assume this is a battle zone as well. Yeah, we are sitting directly on top of a 4-hour battle zone. I don't think we're getting any, we're not getting any of our bullish battle signals going off right now, but we are still sitting on top of that battle zone. We are still sitting on top of this resistance zone. It did just recently break out of a descending channel. So Bonk isn't a terrible purchase right now. I'm just personally not doing any huge buys of it at this exact moment. Going into AVAX, I did see your super chat. Frank Q, much appreciated, homie. I appreciate it a ton. Just because you do super chat doesn't mean we are going to go over the coin that you want us to in the super chat, but I will go over AVAX here. AVAX is a very simple formula for me right now. Very simple formula. What it's done is it's now trying to set the, obviously, the higher highs. It's trying to get this uptrend started. From an Elliott Waves perspective, you can see that it just recently had that finished C wave to the downside in August of last year. It's trying to get this next macro impulse upwards going. It's just running into a big zone of resistance. And so what it's doing right now is as it's trying to get this trend started, it's now started correcting into a descending triangle, right? This falling wedge, the what's the other word people use? The dropping triangle, right? And it's just not broken out of it yet. So my theory here with AVAX is very simple. It has a micro battle zone right there. Let's see if we're getting any battle bullish signals. We did get some bullish battle signals on this low and this low and this low that we had right here, which is a good sign that the bulls are stepping in when we need them to at these battle zones. So for me, what I would say is that AVAX is actually a pretty decent purchase right now. You can see here actually on the 4-hour, we also got some bullish battle signals going off in this exact battle zone that we're in right now. So all of those things tell me that although AVAX can fall towards the downside, it's giving us signs that it might try to make a break sooner or later. So I think getting some medium to small size purchases in my own portfolio isn't a bad idea. And I may actually end up buying a little bit of AVAX later today. I'll keep the school updated. All you school members, I'll tell you later. But yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. So yeah, very well might be doing that. I think AVAX is actually in a pretty good spot. Very good, very good. Obviously, we were super overbought. All these bears battle signals were going off as we hit each one of these battle zones, but we did get this correction. Did see a pullback. We can see here, right? Like it's down 40%. So yeah, I think AVAX is actually in a pretty good spot. I think AVAX is in a pretty good spot. A couple more here. Let's see. Let's do a couple chat suggestions. I see Whiff. I see Turbo. Let's get into those. We're not going to do all the chat suggestions, so don't get too upset with me here. Let's see what's going on with Turbo. So Turbo's not looking terrible. What's Turbo's market cap? Market cap 400 million. Okay, so a lot of our indicators aren't going to be as effective. Battle zones will be, battle signals won't be. Volume is important, but it's not doing anything. Okay, looking at Turbo right now. Bit of a pickle. Let's see. I haven't looked at Turbo before. In a very long time, but I am maybe noticing something here. Something to think about there. Give me one sec. So in general, what it looks like is that it's going to take a more macro zone of support to hold Turbo's price. Because what Turbo keeps doing is it's coming down towards its battle zones. It's just not holding them. Like it tried to double bottom at this battle zone, failed to hold it. It's trying to find a bottom at this battle zone, and it's giving us descending structure. So maybe it is going to bounce off of it. But it feels to me as if Turbo very well may still have a little bit more room to fall. I think Turbo falling back towards 54 would make a good bit of sense, which is still another 10% correction here. And the only reason that I say that is because now it's so close to a macro liquidity zone that's big Fibonacci level that for me, it's like, well, it seems rather likely that it would since it's this close. So to me, I actually don't think Turbo's a bad purchase right now. You look at the 4 hour, you look at what this RSI is doing. It's giving us those trending higher, lower lows, or the higher lows, sorry, while it is giving us lower lows here on the price. So we are getting bullish divergence. It is running into battle zones. I would assume that on the 1 hour, we are starting to get, we've gotten some bullish, we've gotten the bullish battle signals as it is hitting these key levels of support, which is a sign that the bulls are stepping in when we need them to. So yeah, I don't think Turbo's a bad purchase right now. I would actually say it's not a bad one. I would be waiting and holding a little bit of cash just in case it does nosedive into this golden zone. But overall, it does feel as if Turbo is towards the end of this pullback to some degree and could give some sort of bounce. But I will warn you, this is purely based off technicals. I don't know what the fundamentals look like. I also don't know the project itself. So keep that in mind. One that I do want to look at is Ondo real quick. Ondo's looking pretty juicy. Loving it, loving it. Ondo almost looks to me like it could be trying to create some bottoming out structure. As you can see here, Ondo did come back down towards this battle zone. I'm curious, actually. Yeah, we did. That's amazing. Look at that. So we had this daily battle zone that Ondo actually created a huge liquidity zone. A lot of volume happened here. Bounced towards the upside. It's trying to hold it. It almost feels as if it is trying to create some sort of cup and handle pattern off of that battle zone. So if this market opens up, although I'm not buying Ondo right now because I was again buying Ondo a couple days ago, like I showed you guys, I bought Ondo, at $1.30, at $1.30 again, right? So although I was buying it down here, so I'm obviously not going to be doing any buying right now, Ondo is actually looking pretty promising to me. And even if it does give us one more pullback, Ondo does feel like it's going to try to make that run. I still think Ondo's going to try to go for $2 again at some point. So very happy with what Ondo's doing. We're building up that battle zone. Yeah, things are looking pretty damn good. Things are looking really good. Happy about that. Happy about that. I saw Whiff again. It's kind of going to Whiff again. I haven't looked at Whiff in a while, so I'll just warn you. Whiff did just lose a major battle zone. That's not looking amazing, guys. I mean, the argument that can be made here, obviously, is that we are seeing bullish divergence in the sense that we do have currently a higher low here on the Whiff's RSI towards the downside on the dailies, while we're getting lower lows here on the daily price. So there is an argument to be made that since it is in this key level of support, that it very well could bounce at some point because it is range bound. So I wouldn't say getting some bids in right here is a bad idea, but I wouldn't put any money that I'm scared to lose in because this is rather risky because it's lost a lot of momentum. So it's going to take a meme season for Whiff to run, but if it does, yeah, maybe it pushes back up towards, 270 or something like that. So Whiff's not in a terrible spot. It is creating descending structure. It is coming towards this support zone. It is getting bullish divergence. So all of those things say that we very well might see it push upwards, but just be careful because it is a meme coin and we're not in meme season right now. So it could be irrational a little bit longer than you can remain solvent. So just be careful. Getting some small bids in right now, not a bad idea for my own personal portfolio, but there could be because there could be a push upwards, but just be careful. Okay, just be careful. Last one. Let's go into Link. Alrighty. Chainlink's looking good, man. Chainlink's made some fantastic progress. Chainlink ran up, hit the golden zone, right, created a couple battle zones, right? We came back down. We held support on this little accumulation of battle zones right here, right? This one and this one. We held the battle zone. We worked our way up. We cleared this battle zone, broke out of the descending channel. Now this bad boy's trying to break out the golden zone. What I would actually say when it comes to Chainlink is now the game plan is breaking $31. Because if Chainlink can break $31, that fifth wave might be underway. I mean, yeah, that fifth wave might be underway. Does this agree with me? Well, this is saying hypothetically that we could be in wave 5 now. I would actually be willing to argue that if we actually do see Chainlink's price push upwards towards, say, $41 or something like that, that would give us enough room that this could be wave 3, this could be wave 1, that we maybe pull back and backtest one more time and then go for wave 5 on Fibonacci extensions. I think that's reasonable to assume, but obviously there's a lot that needs to happen, and Chainlink's going to move based on the market. So that's just a speculative, hopium-based guess. But what I will say is that Chainlink is actually looking pretty good right now. Not the best time to purchase, in my opinion, but it is a good spot for holders because I do think that it's doing a good job holding previous points of resistance and support and working its way through this golden zone. So once we clear $31 again, then talk to me because that's going to be what really opens this door up. But Chainlink is looking pretty good. Alrighty. So that's kind of where we're at. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. We are at 1 hour in, so I do want to kind of switch and transition over into the Q&A section of the video. I'd love for you guys to ask me questions for a couple minutes. Feel free to check that out. Again, don't forget, one more shameless shill before we wrap up this vid. Don't forget, of course, to go check out that link to BTCC if you do want to get that 10% bonus. And don't forget to go check out the school, which is linked down below, if you do want to access to the school, which is where I post all of those things that I'm buying and a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, guys, look at right now. There's a community of people right now in the live chat hanging out, doing some technical analysis, doing some live trading with one of our leaders, Anno. Like, it's happening right now. So go check that out down below. And again, feel free to leave us some questions down below. We are going to wrap up the technical analysis portion. So please do save your TA requests for the next one. Alrighty. Let's see. What's everybody talking about? A lot of technical analysis requests. Let's see. Okay, I might have missed the live part, but Jupiter's airdrop usually results in the price going down because people say their airdrop. Fact is, it's holding up as good. It means a lot of people are restating or restarting. Yeah, that could be the truth. That could be the case. Or maybe, it's a cattle. When was the airdrop? When is the airdrop? I'm curious. Because I'm not really huge on the whole airdrop space. Probably should be. But I'm not super big on the airdrop space. I'm curious, when is it? No, I don't know much about ENA actually. Last cycle, Bitcoin went down during alt season. Bitcoin doesn't need to go up, but it would be good. That is true. That is true. There is truth behind that. The issue with that is, though, typically what happens, Bitcoin pumps as a result of retail investment. Bitcoin drops as a result of liquidity cycles. So a lot of that liquidity will flow from Bitcoin into altcoins, which is what causes altcoins to go up, which is what causes Bitcoin's dominance to go down, and Bitcoin's price to slowly either go sideways or slowly downwards. I can't foresee, if people haven't already cycled from Bitcoin into alts, why would they do that right now? The majority of Bitcoin's price movement recently has not been retail, it's been institutions, and institutions are not going to cycle into alts like a retail investor would. Therefore, I think it would take another big push for Bitcoin, retail get in, and then you see that click because it goes from Bitcoin into the other ones. That's what would cause that opposite of Bitcoin going down and alts going up. Not a moment like this. That's not normally what you would see. But I guess if they come out, if BlackRock comes out and says they're buying, Solana or something, that could spark it. So it's going to take an injection of liquidity, and that injection of liquidity usually comes from Bitcoin. I've seen varying takes from many people, but I want to hear yours. Ratio of ETH to SOL in your portfolio. It depends on your risk level. I would say that Ethereum is a little bit of a safe bet. You're probably not going to see much gain, but you're not going to lose that much. Whereas Solana, you're still going to have periods where it drops 30 to 40%, but it could still 2 or 3x, whereas I don't particularly feel like it's going to be as easy for Ethereum to 2 or 3x, if that makes sense. I think Solana being $600 is easier than, say, Ethereum being, $7,500 or $8,000. Hey, Tyler, can you talk about the relationship of front running and FOMOing in / waiting for confirmations before taking a position? It's just your approach, right? It's just your approach. It depends on also the trading style that you have. If you're scalping, if you're swing trading, the styles will be different. But in general, my rules are front running isn't terrible, but your gains are going to be limited. Meaning you're buying in the crowd of people who are going to sell when the thing happens. So let's say there's a buy the rumor, sell the news. If you buy the rumor, you're probably going to do okay because the price is going to go up a little bit. Then you sell the news, you're good. If that's front running for the most part. FOMOing in means you're buying at the top of the buy the rumor, sell the news. That's never really good. You never really want to do that. Then the second thing is waiting for confirmations. Waiting for confirmations are very good because what it does is it puts you in a spot to where the likelihood of you winning goes up so substantially because maybe it's a breakout and a back test and you buy on the back test. It usually helps you avoid front running and the pullback that follows that. It also helps you avoid FOMOing because FOMO would have been before the confirmation, right? Usually a confirmation has something to do with your buying with some sort of back test. That's generally the case, right? And so it does allow you to get in at a little bit of a safer time. So the way that I see it is front running is okay. FOMOing is not okay. Back test, breakouts, confirmations, very okay. Those are my general thoughts in a simplified manner. Lizards buy Bitcoin. People want 3x buying alts. People sell Bitcoin for alt. Lizards eat Bitcoin and will eat the future economy. Jose Felix, the dude is in the building. At some point in post having used Bitcoin dominance is going to go down big time. Yep, it usually does happen. Yeah. I don't think Pepe is dead. I just don't think that we're in the season for. We're not in an altcoin season. Why in the world would we be in a meme coin season? The best time to sell coins is when they're so up that you're actually so excited about it that you wake up in the middle of the night and you check your position. When you wake up and you see your bag is up 20% and you're so excited, that's the time to sell. But obviously, there are much more strategic times that you could be taking profits. Don't you plan to make some kind of challenge? What do you mean? Bullish due to that. Bullish due to that, the new SEC rescinded the no maker. Yeah, very bullish. I missed a 40x when I was sleeping last month. Well, that just sucks. But there will be more. How's your honeymoon going? So we're still waiting. So like we got married in December, but our wedding is in March. We got legally married in December. Our wedding is in March, and we're gonna have our honeymoon after the wedding. So we're still kind of trying to like make the wedding special. So like we still don't wear our rings and stuff like that. We're still trying to just delay that gratification, I guess, a little bit. SafeMoon was the biggest scam that crypto will have ever seen, probably second to FTX, actually. There is a chance retail will go heavy on meme coins, changing how the altcoin season usually goes and perhaps starting meme coin season before altcoin season. That is true. That is possible. It's just not what usually happens. That's only happened once that I can remember, and that was in 2023 when Pepe blew up. You know, to put $1,000 in some coins, trade them live and try to. I'm not really all that big on the whole like live trading channel because it's stressful. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just a stress that I don't trade like that. So me trying to do that live would stress me out a ton because that's not how I operate. You know what I mean? So why would I go outside of my investment strategy to do something for an entertainment perspective that's probably going to cost me and other people money? Just not my thing, if that makes sense. Have you thought of making it a thing for people to copy? No. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that for sure. Luna was also pretty bad. SafeMoon was just like one of the biggest scams that's ever happened, basically. All right, everybody. Well, look, unless there's any more questions, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap that on up. 500, 607 of you out here hanging out with me every day. So I do hope some of you are liking that video and subscribing to the channel if you have been new to the live streams. I know some of you watching right now, yes, I'm talking about you, the one who's eating potato chips right now. You're not subscribed to the channel, so hit that subscribe button if you guys have been enjoying it. Like I mentioned before, I am going to be out of town for the next 3 days. I'm going to do some pretty cool stuff I'll tell you about when I get back because I get a little weird about getting kidnapped. Jokes, kind of, not really. So with that in mind, I am going to be gone for 3 days, but I am going to be making full videos and shorts, and hopefully I get my freaking Twitter back so I can make tweets. That would be amazing. So stay tuned for all that. Check out all the links in the description below. But an overall very bullish day in the world of crypto. I am going to make a full video later today, kind of talking about some more of this stuff. Stay tuned for that. Don't forget, some of the links in the description are going to lead you over to our school, which is where you can see some of the things I'm buying and much more for as little as $5 a month. And then also, of course, don't forget to go check out BTCC to go get that 10% bonus back on all first-time deposits between $500 and $100,000. But if you guys did enjoy, of course, don't forget, smash that like button, and I can't wait to see you all in the next live stream. Peace out, everybody.